What you just saw was one of the many intro videos for the PlayStation game LSD Dream Emulator. I wanted it to be the first thing that you saw because it perfectly represents one of the many visions for this project, which in my opinion is one of the strangest pieces of software in human history. But first, let's get that name out of the way. As much as I'd love for LSD to stand for lysergic acid diethylamide, it instead stands for Link Speed Dream. So the full title would be Link Speed Dream Emulator. Weird name. And I feel like the subtitle Dream Emulator does a better job explaining what it's supposed to be, you know? So I think Link Speed Dream is better off as an acronym here. But its significance should not be ignored. Link Speed Dream actually refers to several aspects of the gameplay. Links being a central mechanic of the game, speed being the main skill of the game, and dream being, well, what the game is about. But things are already getting boring in here. Show some gameplay already. Yeah, that's more like it. Alright, yeah. So, what's even going on here? Well, LSD Dream Emulator was developed as a literal anti-game. These days, we refer to this genre as walking sims. But even walking sims, you know, have some sort of gameplay. I mean, even if it's just the occasional puzzle or literally just a maze, broken reality, pools, and the Stanley Parable comes to mind personally. All great walking sims with their own captivating gameplay, but none of them even attempt to do what LSD Dream Emulator did. LSD Dream Emulator has no puzzles or mazes, just a giant open world space to explore with randomly generated aspects that are specific to your save file and randomized based on your actions. Yeah, you probably remember a time during 2020 when an apocalypse scale event hit the world by surprise. An obsession with a specific Mario 64 creepypasta. If you can even call it that. It never even really gained creepypasta status in my opinion. It really amounted to no more than Reddit and TikTok theories with the albeit rampant appearances in iceberg videos. And while I do believe Mario 64 does have an eerie vibe around it, and I can appreciate hacks like B3313 for trying to capture that idea, but in an ironic twist of fate, Mario 64's code would get goatsied. And well, this sort of thing would get demystified very quickly. The real 3D 90s game with personalization was here all along. And I mean it, this game really molds itself around you in a way. Well, as much as you're expected to shape it yourself. The difficulty in this game is inspired by real dreams. You want to spend the most time in good dreams, and good dreams typically last longer. You don't want to spend a lot of time in nightmares, or maybe you do. We'll get into that. But regardless, every dream ends in the same way. When your body decides it just wants to wake up. And while you can't control when you wake up, you can control how long it takes depending on what kind of dream you're having. If you're stuck in a nightmare, you'll likely wake up much sooner in fear. If you relax in a nice place, you'll likely doze off for a long time. But, just like in real life, controlling your dreams can get a little difficult, and there are several tiers to that. The control of your body and environment in your dreams can be tricky in real life, and that's no different here in LSD. So let's start with body control. Jeez, what kind of video has this become? LSD Dream Emulator is like a long-lost Armored Core game where you control a flesh mech. I mean, these controls are just absurd. Not just for their time, but they're also aged terribly in an era where moving in first person has practically been slimmed down to just 2 thumbsticks. But I get it, this is a PlayStation game after all. But half the difficulty comes from getting used to these goddamn controls. So without further ado, here's the rundown. Up and down or forward and back. Left and right turn you in those directions. So think kinda like tank controls. Then you got L2 and R2 for strafing left and right. So kinda like the console ports of Doom. And here's a weird one. L1 and R1 are used for looking over your shoulder, which I think is an entirely unique mechanic to this game, and I rarely use it. And by unique, I mean each button is for looking over each shoulder. Weird. Triangle and square are used for looking up and down, and lastly, cross allows you to run while you hold it. You can only run forwards though, as strafing and running aren't allowed, along with a lot of other seemingly random hiccups. Oh, and start pauses the game of course, and damn, you really couldn't get much more plain than that. Select and circle go completely unused in-game as far as I'm aware. I mean, I've been playing this game for years, and I've never touched either of these buttons, so I'd be really surprised if they actually did do something. So then the other half, controlling the outcome of your dream. This game is basically about lucid dreaming, so you'll want to learn your way around this dreamscape and how to get the exact dreams you want. This is done with LSD Dream Emulator's defining feature, links. Remember that word from the title? But before I explain links, I want to get connections out of the way, since they're similar but not the same, and you explore with them too. These are primarily done in the natural world, a massive open world area acting kinda as a hub for the Bright Moon Cottage, Pitten Temple, Kyoto, Happy Town, and the Violence District. From there, the Bright Moon Cottage, Happy Town, and the Violence District only allow you to travel back to the natural world. But in Pitten Temple, there's an entrance to the flesh tunnels, and in Kyoto, it sort of acts as its own little small hub, with connections to the Moonlight Tower, Temple Dojo, and Monument Park. The Moonlight Tower is a one-way trip, and the Temple Dojo and Monument Park allow you to turn back to Kyoto. And after saying all those names, I just realized how confusing this must be for first-timers, but remember, this game is all about dreaming. Anyways, these connections between all these places are basically tunnels, and they're only here due to memory constraints. But if dreaming was all about going through tunnels, it'd be kinda boring, so that's where links come in. Linking, as far as the game's concerned, is the act of rubbing up against objects and going inside them. That's kind of what this game is all about. By linking with something, you basically go inside its plane of existence? I'm not really sure what the actual act of linking is supposed to be, but I guess it's supposed to represent you slipping into a different reality while dreaming. I'm pretty sure this concept is based on the real-world phenomena where people who lucid dream often can have multiple conscious dreams in one night. But most importantly, linking allows you to enter areas that you can't normally with just connections. You can link with practically anything that you collide with, and there are three types of links: dynamic, static, and local. Dynamic uses a pseudo-random number generator. That's where a personalization from earlier comes in. Most things that you link with are going to be in this category, but particular creatures and objects are in the latter two categories. Local links, which just warp you to a random or specific place on the map, and static links, which will warp you to specific dimensions. Each link has its own effect on your dream chart. I'll talk more in depth about that later, but all you need to know now is that links impact these numbers. So what kinds of things can you link with? Walls, buildings, people, animals, inanimate objects, and all sorts of weird shit that you'd only find in a Japanese man's dream. About that, it's probably time I go over the history of this game. I don't want to bore you though, so here's the cliff notes. A Japanese artist and musician, Osamu Sato loved making digital art, and started making point-and-click adventure games inspired by Myst. Right after that, he found the Sony PlayStation and became intrigued with the idea of making a 3D interactive art project and immediately started development on this lovely thing. I can't really call it a game since the whole point of LSD is that it wasn't a game. It's also worth noting this game is based mostly off a Japanese woman's dream journal from the 70s to the 90s. Her name is Hiroko Nishikawa, and during the development of this game, several artists working on LSD Dream Emulator drew a lot of the dreams as concept art. So an art book with excerpts from her dream journal was released as Lovely Sweet Dream. In terms of physical merch I could only dream of owning, this is definitely at the top. It had a pretty limited printing and only in Japan, but it's on the Internet Archive and most of the pages have English excerpts, so you can read it there. Of course, I also had to show you a couple of these pages because they're awesome and I feel like it's a pretty overlooked aspect of the game. Anyways, it's clear that this would inspire a lot of the setting of the game to be Japan-centric. Even with the rest of the world represented as Monument Park, a place with all the monuments of the world and that's it. Well, that and the fact that Osamu Sato was also Japanese and developing the game during the 90s. These pair very well in my opinion with the game's presentation, however. This is a PlayStation 1 game, which means dithery pixels, warbly polygons, and a crunchy lack of texture filtering, and man, I'm all about it. And I know that this nostalgic lens won't be everyone's thing, but in my opinion, it lends itself not only to a postmodern, timeless aesthetic, but it also helps out the whole dreaming theme of this game. Color banding is hazed up with the dithering, and surfaces stretch in a manner that feel dreamy. That classic PS1 fog is definitely the icing on the cake here. That's just to say, playing this game on a real modded PlayStation 1 in front of a CRT in a dimly lit room is a real treat. It's literally the weirdest time capsule ever. And like I said earlier, this is seriously one of the strangest pieces of software, and once you get into it, it really starts to feel uncomfortably alive. Like the vision of this project is so strong, I swear to God, you can feel Osamu Sato reaching out of the TV. Or maybe that's just me. Yeah, it's probably just me. And I mean, speaking like that sounds so ridiculous because I can also show you this clip. Alright, so how do you beat this non-game game? Well, that, like many things in this game, is up to interpretation. The easy answer is to play all the way to day 365, which is the final day in LSD Dream Emulator before the day counter resets. The hard answer is by filling out your dream chart. Remember when I told you that links dedicate to your dream chart? Good. I hope. Anyways, this is the dream chart, and each tile holds a number value of different aspects of your dream. Did you have more dynamic links or static links? And then there are upper and downer values that basically decide if you had a nightmare or not. And if this is your route to completion, you will definitely have nightmares guaranteed trying to fill out every tile on this chart. Basically, you'd have to do an extremely calculated run while pausing the game to do the math and ensure that you have pinpoint accurate dreams. This is overcomplicated by design, since this game isn't really intended to be beaten. If you want to play this game the intended way, you just have to have fun with it, and leave when you like. LSD Dream Emulator basically covers the full range of dreams. Sometimes your dreams will be really random and confusing. Other times you'll be laughing your ass off. And of course, the nightmares will make you have nightmares in real life. The real magic in LSD Dream Emulator comes from its progression. After the first 10 days, you'll unlock your first texture set that you can apply to any dream world and even most entities. But instead of some lame word jumble like texture sets, I'm gonna refer to it as a mental state. Since these affect basically everything in your dream and reflect your real-time score in the dream chart, they also have special events that can only occur in certain mental states, so I think that title fits it a lot better. You'll unlock the second mental state after day 20, and then finally the last at day 30. Your first mental state is dynamic, which the fans have referred to as kanji, and I can kinda see why. It just spreads Japanese kanji over literally everything in random colors. A translation mod for this with support for all kinds of different languages would be really interesting, by the way. I don't know who needs to hear that, but I really hope it reaches their ears. But until that day comes, I think this is definitely the most boring, and causes me to stay away from dynamic links if I can help it. Honestly, it kind of represents a real-world aspect to dreaming in a way. Like, I can imagine if you're using dynamic links often, you're probably not good at the game, which would insinuate like in real life you're not good at, lucid dreaming. And I know that oftentimes when I'm in a dream and I can't really imagine something, it just kind of appears like dialogue in my dream. So having words everywhere kind of makes sense, it's just, you can't read any of it. I don't know. The second mental state you unlock, however, is way more interesting to me. Honestly, I think it's my favorite. This second mental state is downer. And this is where the game starts to spiral into madness. I mean, sometimes it straight up looks like Channel 666 or Sad Satan. It wouldn't even really be that out of place to read a creepypasta on top of this. No, seriously, watch. Everyone is looking at Jeff now. The parents, the crying kids, even Troy and Keith. Although they easily break their gaze and point their guns at Jeff. Jeff sees the guns trained on him and runs for the stairs. As he runs, Troy and Keith let out fire on him, each shot missing. Jeff runs up the stairs. He hears Troy and Keith follow up behind. As they let out their final rounds of bullets, Jeff ducks onto the bathroom. Jeff ducks into the bathroom. He grabs the towel rack and rips it off the wall. Troy and Keith race in, knives ready. God, this shit is terrible.
Jeff, what are you doing?
Asked his mother. Jeff looked over to his mother.
I couldn't keep smiling, Mommy. It hurt after a while. Now, I can smile forever.
Jeff's mother... Bro, there's not even an ending quotation mark. Anyways, Jeff's mother, noticing his eyes ringed in black.
Jeff, your eyes!
His eyes were seemingly never closing. Can you believe we were scared of this? Well, actually, maybe some of us weren't scared. Quite the opposite. Speaking of that, next on the list is the upper mental state, where you can dream about boobies! Sometimes referred to as arrow dreams. In the upper mental state, you'll be seeing women in historical images and pictures of Osamu Sato. Kinda odd, and they have their own eerie tone to them that doesn't necessarily make them erotic or anything, so I like calling them upper dreams instead of arrow dreams like a lot of the fandom does. I mean, unfortunately these women are real and not fictional anime females with lovely personalities, so they certainly don't interest me enough to play the game good enough to see them. But when I do see stuff in the Violence District and Bright Moon Cottage in them, I do like how creepy it looks. I mean, get a load of this. I've basically talked about everything up to this point except for the sounds. You've most likely been hearing some of the music in the game in this video. Sorry about that. Each link has its own song, which is chosen from a giant list. Now I'm gonna say a number, and you aren't gonna believe it. There are 490 tracks in LSD Dream Emulator. Some of them are pretty good, most of them are very dreamy, some of them are very creepy, and well, some of them, I'll just play a couple for you. This insane amount of hilarious songs is half the reason why I play this game, if I'm being honest. Each song is 3 minutes long, and you can listen to the whole soundtrack in 24 hours. So, if you're ever considering testing the sanity of your friends, this would be the perfect playlist for a day-long road trip. And you're probably thinking, man, this sounds like it fucking sucks. The game looks like it's just thrown together all shittily, the music is sometimes unlistenable, every aspect of the game is literally randomized without care, and there aren't even any objectives or mechanics other than walking and walking into things. The pretentiousness of calling this a dream emulator seems off the charts. But it still manages. There's a phrase for this sort of thing. The sum is greater than its parts. I think I described Yeek in this sort of way. Or Yik as it's officially pronounced now. It's like, even though you can total up all the individual aspects of something to a mediocre rating, the direction in the art was so strong that it surpassed the sum of all of its parts. So yeah, the graphics are nothing to write home about, even for its time. The music is, well, I'd be beating a dead horse at this point. And the gameplay, I mean, yeah, you get it all at this point. Objectively, it all sucks and it's super dated. But here, in its original form, it's still leading the genre, and its ambitions still surpass its age. It doesn't even matter how your tastes are or how you feel about the poor aspects of this game. There's no denying that no matter how pretentious it sounds, this is a dream emulator. And mark my words, as a massive fan of this genre, there's literally nothing quite like it. So, how do you play? I mean, a Japanese-only PlayStation 1 game doesn't exactly scream available. Not as much as your mom, at least. Oh! So it must be awfully convenient that there's this awesome dev out there named Figglewatts, who's ported 99% of this game to PC. For free! Yeah, that's right, free. Link in the description as always. It's called LSD Revamped. And I need to be very clear, to my knowledge, this is not a full code decompilation, recompilation, or source port. This is more of a fan remaster, so the game is recreated from the ground up in Unity, so the deeper workings of the code have been rewritten to my understanding. It seems like there are some static links missing and some events that are supposed to be incredibly rare that I kept getting often. This made exploring the game a bit odd when it came to specific links I remembered from the original, like I wasn't able to record any footage from the Sun Faces Heave because the only link I memorized was the sun in Happy Town, which doesn't have a link assigned to it in this port. But I do fully accept that being a user error, since there are probably plenty of other links that could go there, and I could probably just get lucky with dynamic links if I was really that desperate. On top of that, there are all these randomized aspects that could have made each run have subtle differences too. This version of the game also doesn't have the same visual glitches as the original, so there's also that aspect of the game missing. Even if it is an unintended feature, I still think it's part of what makes the original just that much more interesting. Since it's a recreation and not a direct port, you can't expect perfect parity. But you can get pretty damn close, and that's a great deal for a free project. With this port comes all the visual effects and quirks of the original PlayStation 1 version. But you can optionally run the game at your monitor's resolution, uncap the frame rate, turn off the wiggly polygons, and disable the dither pattern. This makes the game have some new quirks of its own, but I think some people may prefer to play this way. Personally, I like keeping everything like the original and then just uncapping the frame rate. I've been following this project on and off over the course of a couple years, and over those years, modding support was added, and the prospect of VR support was floating around. While VR is still not supported and definitely at the top of my wish list, modding support is still pretty awesome. So awesome that the creator of the project even made a little mod to show it off. I'll show you a little bit, but the project's free, and if you're watching this at your own computer, you really have no excuse not to follow this project and download it for yourself to check it out. Figglewatts also has a lot of other titles inspired by LSD Dream Emulator, and early point-and-click adventure PC games. But that topic is big enough for its own video, and not really the focus of this one, so if you guys are interested in any of Figglewatts' projects, please let me know. Emulation! Haha, yeah, very scary word. Go away, Nintendo. If it turns out you still want to play the original, DuckStation is perfectly fine. Texture glitches and all. You can even play it right out of the box with default settings. Granted, you have an ISO of the game and a PlayStation 1 BIOS. Sourced legally, of course. Also, I don't own a PlayStation, so I don't personally know, but back in the day, I know that people used to make Japanese accounts so they could buy LSD Dream Emulator on the PlayStation Store since it was one of the PlayStation 1 classics. So, if they still do that program now and you have a Japanese account, you can buy this game still to this day. Well, that's really it. Would I recommend LSD Dream Emulator? Well, of course. I don't even care if you think you wouldn't like it. 5 minutes will turn into an hour with this game. I seriously think LSD Dream Emulator is not only one of the strangest pieces of software in existence, but it's also a perfect time capsule from Japan. A literal work of art that I think everyone should see at least once in their life. Thanks for watching as always. I really appreciate your love and support. I don't always have the time to respond to them, but I do read all my comments, and you guys are awesome. If you have any memories with this game worth sharing, please tell away down below. If you like this video, you know what to do. And if you're new here, I make videos about underrated and weird video games. My last video was about GTA Chinatown Wars, which was basically another GTA 4 episode released exclusively for the DS and PSP, and no one played it because it was top-down. If that's your sort of thing, maybe consider subscribing, because you'll be sure to see a lot more of it. But peace and love from the grave, and I'll haunt you in the next one. I fucking bumped my mic. God damn it!